Well, hi, everyone, and welcome to Dementia Chats. I'm Lori La Bey, and I'll be the facilitator of this conversation. For those of you that aren't familiar with me, I stepped into this space because my mother lived with dementia for 30 years. And her voice I found to be so critically important. And when I started Alzheimer's Speaks, one of my main goals was to raise the voices of people living with this disease. They have so much to teach us. So today we're going to be talking about arts and music and how that plays in their life. And I'm sure you're going to learn something. So listen up and don't forget to like, click, and share this with others. I'm going to have each of our panelists, our experts, introduce themselves. So Jennifer, if you wouldn't mind going first.
Yes, I'm Jennifer Butte. I live in the UK, and I'm glad about this topic. I passionately believe that this kind of thing is so important to us with dementia.
Wonderful. Thanks for joining us today. Anne, do you want to introduce yourself?
I'm retired. Most of my background was and still is music. So that's an important thing. And I also worked for 10 years at Kodak.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Karen, we lovingly call her Creaky.
Hi, I'm Karen. I was diagnosed in 2014 with unspecified symptoms, or actually Alzheimer's, and it's changed several times. From Corpus Christi, Texas, and music is awesome.
Wonderful. And Elmarie.
Yes, my name is Elmarie Jansen van Rensburg. I'm from South Africa. I've been diagnosed with vascular dementia and cognitive impairment in 2018. And I used to love music. I still love music, but I still have to find my way around it because I get the overdose of it at home. So I will have to go and think about it and decide what music I like. And I'm curious as to what the effect will be on me when the time comes.
Wonderful. Thank you. Jennifer, I'm going to have you kind of kick this off in terms of arts and music. And I know that you feel really strongly about music in and of itself. So wherever you want to talk in that space, just take it away.
Yes. Well, I believe that we're primed for music from when we were in our mother's wombs with the mother's heartbeat, the rhythm of the mother's heartbeat and the rhythm of the mother's walking even, and the voices. So rhythm and noise was part of us even before we were born. And then when we were born, of course, there were the lullabies and the nursery rhymes and the songs and the music. And then school, there was music, and our teenage years, when so often that is the music that sticks. And I passionately believe that music can wake up people with dementia. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that as others say something as well.
Thank you. It was interesting when you were talking about the heartbeat in the womb. I actually connected with a man who has music, and in the background there is the heartbeat. And it's just a really calming, it's so easy to go to sleep to. And you don't really even notice it, but it's just this the thump, the thump, the thump in the background. So interesting that you should say that. I'll have to look up his name and share that on here. Creaky, how about you? What are your thoughts on music?
Well, I've been involved with music since I was a kid, and I've been through all the different genres, classical and acid rock and country western, all of that stuff. I appreciate what y'all were saying, especially Elmarie, about what would I like when I no longer can communicate, is exactly what we were saying, is having a playlist. And on my list of a billion things I need to do when that time comes, when I'm going to be there, is my playlist. That is just so important to me. And I've got it on my cell phone. I don't listen to the music I listen to now, like I said, is instrumental. as in no words. And that is music that calms my mind and calms my soul and allows me to do whatever I need to do. So again, I'm not going to get down on myself, but that's one of the things on my list, and that's one of the most important things on my list, is to have that playlist, because I know I won't be able to say anything and at that time, and I need to be able to hear that because that connects me.
So I have a question for you, Creaky. You had, mentioned that you like instrumental. Is it difficult for you to follow the words now, or is that just the zone and something that you've always been comfortable with? I'm just wondering if it's a change for you or not.
I think as far as listening to instruments only versus words with the music, again, for myself, it's too much. Whereas with the instruments only, it is a kind of a meditation. So I'm able to do whatever I'm doing and still have that, that connection of whatever that is. So learning words, remembering words is kind of difficult.
Okay. Well, and I think too, when you think of meditation and just some of the music in the background, a lot of times it is primarily instrumental or a really soft voice that's pulling you in a direction to help you with the meditation. So that all makes a ton of sense, because life does get really busy sometimes, and I know even people with that might not be meeting in person, but do a lot of Zooms or do a lot of phone calling. They like to just shut down and go, okay, I don't need the noise now. I need the quiet. And so, El Marie, I get what you were saying in terms of your house has a lot of music in it, and so sometimes you just like it to be silent and quiet. Have you thought, El Marie, about a playlist at all?
Yes, no, but mentioning it, I think I'll put it on my, almost said bucket list, on my list. I will definitely go and make a list. But Jennifer said something interesting. I remember when I was pregnant with my two girls. One is now 27 and the other one 29. We used to play them classical, very calming classical music. They were very, very calm and quiet babies, very easy. But I never, people will rock the children on their hips to get them quiet or sleep, but I never did. I put their head with their ear on my heartbeat, and that would calm them. That would calm them and put them to sleep. And my youngest has cerebral palsy. And even today, she's 27 years old. If she's very upset, she will come and hug me and listen for my heartbeat. And that will literally calm her, still calm her, not upset anymore. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Calm music. And since yes, I think I can be convinced making a list.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you said, even though she's 27 years old, getting that hug and, being able to hear your heartbeat. I mean, I think of the times we've gotten puppies and they say, put a clock underneath their pillow. So there's that tick, tick, tick. So they kind of sense that rhythm. I think there's so many things that we as adults don't pay attention to, that are so important in terms of quality of life. And so that's one of the things I love about having these conversations, because we talk about what is real and what have you thought about. It's big stuff to be calm, especially in a world that's so flippin' crazy right now on just about any level in every country. We need to be able to find ways to relax and feel peaceful, within, because as we know, stress can, just worsen disease. No matter what it is you have, or even if you don't have one, it can cause and create disease. And so with any form of dementia, I would think it would be natural to want to stay peaceful, so that it doesn't spike symptoms, because I hear that so often from so many. Anne, how about you? What are your thoughts about music and the arts?
I am from a musical family. My dad and mom are French horn peoples, and they taught. And we had 4 kids in my family. Every one of them have a lot of music. My brother played in the Chicago Symphony for, I don't know, decades. And he was a real rotten kid, but he was, but he did that. And my sister played the piano, and my other brother worked with kids in school. And then there was me. There were 4 kids in our and my parents.
So do you still play now in terms of music?
Yeah, every you know, it's been my life. So this is like vacation. But lots of times my husband, Ross, and I will play duets, with a glass of wine in the evening. That's really nice. All of our kids are musicians, and so that's kind of neat.
Very much so. Very much so. I bet you had a lot of fun on the holidays then, getting together with that. Did you have any singers, or was it all musicians?
Oh, I think we play not the regular popular things that people would know. And because of all the music and old music, really old, even the kinds where you don't even know how you can read them. It's a really neat thing. And we've done I grew up with parents and siblings doing that.
So I'm glad you find peace then in music still, even with your dementia, you find peace with music, listening to music or playing music. I'm sorry, I'm directing that to Anne. Do you still feel peaceful with music and joyful? It looks like it the way, your facial expressions that you still enjoy that a lot.
There were times where we couldn't have dinner. We couldn't eat dinner without practicing for a half hour or an hour before. So it's a little regimented, but everyone in our family is a musician. So
okay,
kind of
great, thank you. Jennifer, I'm going to go back to you. You had mentioned that there's some things going on over in the UK before we went live, with music and some videos. Do you want to share some of that with our audience?
Yes, well, we're trying to push music. In England, a year ago, I think it was, we have recommendation for the whole country that all care homes should provide music as part of the care package of the people who live in the care homes, which is wonderful. And a lot of us and people are trying to get that actually done rather than just talked about. And there are various organizations which are available on the internet all around the world, like Music for Dementia, which is a website which is very easy to access. Anyone can access that. And they try and encourage real musicians to go into places. And I've seen real musicians, really wake up, groups of people with dementia who are all kind of, and then the musician comes in and plays the violin or whatever they're playing, and they all kind of wake up, and it's just wonderful. So I really do believe that music makes a difference. And there are some videos about it, as we all know, the one about Henry, don't we? When Henry kind of woke up, when his favorite music was put on, he was able to talk. And all the memory groups I run, we always start with singing and music because that helps everybody to, I've seen it, wakes people up and gets them going. And I've just seen the dramatic effects that the right music, it's not the same for everybody. And we have to remember that.
Video and movie that you're referring to with Henry was called Alive Inside. So you can watch little clips of that on YouTube, or I think it's on Netflix or someplace you can probably rent the full film, but it's called Alive Inside. You had mentioned another website, but I didn't catch it, that where they have musicians and they train them to go into senior communities.
Music for dementia, music, and then the number 4. Dementia.
Okay. Yeah, the more resources we can give people, the better off I think we are with all of that.
And they have a lot of access to other things, all to do with music. It's a wonderful website.
Great. Well, that's always good to know. Always good to know. I love the idea that you guys put forth that music has to be included in care homes. I think that that's just a huge benefit from what I've experienced, not only with my mom, but just going out and seeing things. And I know COVID's kind of put a damper on some of that, because they used to have live entertainment. And now some of them are doing some, beaming in, doing some Zooms and stuff, but not everybody is tackling the world of Zoom out there. Or, if they're a smaller community, it's not something that they can just kind of plug into all the TVs that are out there, and they might not have the equipment to do that. I know many, used to have back in the day here in the US, they used to have the overhead speakers, when they were looking for somebody, and they'd page them overhead, kind of like a hospital and a clinic and things like that. And they got rid of that. And so now they can't really pipe music in necessarily either. What have you found to work over, across the pond, to be able to get music in individuals' rooms, during COVID, if they're in lockdown?
We have a lot of, we encourage MP3 players, of course, with their own playlists on it. But I'm very blessed in the Dementia Inclusive Village where I live. In the care homes, they have activities in the open lounge, because they're a social bubble. So they are able to mix, and they have music. And that's why this new program of dementia radio program, which is available 24 hours a day, is so, recently so popular, because there are 5 different programs in it, depending on when the person was born, because the music is different, because every 10 years it kind of changes, and they've tried to make it specific for a particular 10-year period, the kind of music that they play. And we still have people who are able to do things on Zoom, but our musicians aren't allowed to go in, unfortunately, at the moment, into the care homes, the live ones that used to. So that's sadness, but I guess it's the same where you are.
Yeah, and sometimes they can go on YouTube and pull things up too, in that fashion. And I know over there's a radio show called The D Word with Peter Hill, that has a lot of different music. He kind of does a fun show that people can access as well, and does some trivia. I like that they're able to do the social bubble, during COVID. Not all of our communities here in the US allow that. It just depends. Some of our small group homes, they still have function within their home, because they kind of look at that as that small bubble as well. But families may or may not be able to visit, depending on where we are spiking. And right now we're kind of spiking all over the place, which is really, really very sad. And there's a big push to not limit to the bubble, and be able to get families in and visits. But it's like, how do you do that safely? it's really, there's so many unknowns with COVID right now. So, and that's something I think a lot of families struggle with. Some people have pulled people out of communities, brought them back home, but then there's a whole nother, bag of wax that they got to deal with in terms of 24-hour care as well. And so that may or may not be the best situation. But I think asking questions of communities in terms of how are they handling it during this time, so that they can do, if it's art projects or music or just have some social engagement is really, really important. Creaky, I see you shaking your head over there, and you have some things to add.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Jennifer was saying on the music over in the UK, as far as the nursing homes or assisted livings, places like that. Again, what people focus on, the playlist is fabulous if you know that person's history and you know what genre they like and what era they like. But if you don't know, if these people just come in, I think a balance would be something that the nursing homes could do, is to try out, a specific genre. And, when they're like not reacting, it's not because of the earphones, maybe it's because of the style of the music. So not to give up on that person during that one try with that particular music, but just to keep adding on. Because during this COVID down here, and I'm sure everywhere else, everything shut down. And a particular friend who has a father, I said, well, are they getting any activities? Not even music, no TV, no music, no audible stimulation. And he doesn't have dementia. And I'm like, and he's depressed and he's yada, yada. I don't understand why you can't get that music piped in or individualize it or whatever, but that just aghast me. It just saddens me deeply.
Yeah, even even if they can't pipe it in physically, you can go get a boombox and put it in the hall and play some music that will, hello. I know with my mom, when she was in a nursing home, we just got her a little CD player, and that had, I don't know, 6 or 12 CDs you could put in there, and that kept her pretty happy. I know some music therapists will say, oh, you shouldn't use music all the time, it loses its effect. I kind of argue with that one, because a lot of people have music on in their home 24/7. Like El Marie's house, there's always something going on in there from what she's saying. I don't know. I know that music therapy can really, certain tunes and rhythms and stuff can pull people out of depression and can awaken them and help them with movement and even eating and things like that. But I think for just everyday recreation, it's really important. I think the other thing people have to remember when it comes to playlists is that music is literally tied to memories. And it's the memories that are tied to those songs that give us that sense of peace or that sense of joy of what happened in that period of time of our life. So there may be some songs, like Karen said, that are going to maybe affect us negatively. Maybe it's a sad song. Maybe it's something from, maybe it's a hymn, but it reminds them of someone who passed, was part of their funeral service. It could be all kinds of different things, but being sensitive to that. And one of the biggest things is that I think one of the biggest mistakes that care partners can make is putting on music they like. Might not be the music that the person likes, but they go, well, you told me to put music on, so I put music on. Well, it does make a difference on whose music it is. If I have my young granddaughter put on her BTS music, I'm going to think, well, what is that? I don't even understand that. I'm getting better at it because I'm hearing it more often, but it wouldn't be something necessarily that I would pick to listen to, and in fact, I personally years ago bought tons of CDs for the 70s and 80s music, and I probably should have bought some for the 60s too, but that's kind of my era of music that, kind of gets me in that sweet spot. And I can't put my finger on it, but we don't have to. We don't have to identify why does it make us happy. We just need to know it does make us happy, or it does make us calm. And as care partners, I think we have to recognize that more. We have to look at those little subtle things that we've always taken for granted and go, boy, this is really a tool. This is really something that's inexpensive, easy to use, doesn't really interfere with daily life, is part of the process, and it helps. And I think so often we overlook those little teeny things. Marie, I want to pull you back in and see if you have some additional comments.
Something interesting. I was at the old age home some few years ago. I don't go anywhere anymore. And there was a lady, she had a beautiful voice, and she was singing in the church and the choir and everything. And then she had a massive stroke and had vascular dementia and so on, and she couldn't speak anymore. But she could sing perfectly. She could sing. She couldn't talk, but she could sing. And then they told her, well, if you want something, you sing it. And she was so happy. I don't know how that works, but it helped. So if she wanted to go to the bathroom, she just sang it. And she was happy. When the church was on, she was the one that sang the most or the loudest. And she was very, very happy about that. So music and singing and instruments is very important, like a heartbeat. A heartbeat, that's the absolute very beginning of our experience of sound. Our mother's heartbeat. That is absolutely awesome. I never thought about that.
I am going to go run into my other portion of my office. I'm just going to go grab that CD with the heartbeat stuff.
While she's gone, what Ella Marie was saying about music and singing, I found that people here, if they're unable to talk, can still sing to communicate. And people here, their family have said, we can't speak to them on the phone anymore. So I said, yes, you can. Get them to sing to you about what they've been doing. And it works. They can sing about their lives even if they can't talk about it. You're absolutely right.
That is amazing. Yeah.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
And I I'm so proud of myself remembering that. Wow. I've had a terrible week remembering stuff, but that's true. She couldn't speak. It just went like all the time. But ask her to sing, and she could sing beautifully. And then they taught her, well, if you want something, sweetheart, sing it. And then she could talk perfectly.
Wow. And I used to help that is awesome, Elmarie. I haven't heard the singing, but not speaking, but singing. And I used to help care for a very good friend's mom who was in a assisted living with frontotemporal. And it was a Catholic nursing home kind of thing, and assisted living. And I heard the most beautiful music coming out, and I went down the hall, and in this little TV room, this woman was just playing flawlessly, just smiling. And I said, who is that? Blah, blah, blah. And she was a resident who was completely nonverbal, completely. But these, again, this memory, this music, this memory taking us back, played flawlessly. It was incredible.
Well, thanks for carrying on the conversation. I found it. It's called Adult Lullaby Therapy, and it's by Terry Woodford, and it's 18 heartbeat lullabies. AdultLullabyTherapy.com is where you can go ahead and purchase that, see what he's got. Or there's a phone number, 719-473-1289. And so it's just, it's interesting what's out there. I had never heard of heartbeat therapy. And to put it with the lullabies, and again, it's just so calming, just is really kind of amazing with all of that.
How do you spell his last name?
It's Wood, W-O-O-D, and then Ford, F-O-R. I interviewed him on the radio show. Oh my gosh, years and years and years ago.
Wow.
That's funny what you hold on to and what's important. Anything else that people want to talk about regarding music? Okay. Well, then maybe let's talk about different types of arts programs that are available and how people are tapping into those. I know Dementia Action Alliance is doing some activities now online that they're rolling out. It looked like they were going to be doing some physical activities as well. I know Maria's Place is a site that does all kinds of different activities. They have everything from meditation and exercises to paint and clay and drawing and you name it. They've got it listed there. And all of those types of arts and crafts and things can be downloaded for free. But then they do have some actual activity boxes that you can buy as a family or as a community that puts in all the supplies and how to use them in the whole 9 yards. And they even have on their website videos that show how to adapt depending on where somebody might be in the aging process or in the dementia process. So from someone who doesn't have any disabilities at all to maybe somebody who's having some functional difficulties and how to adapt. Anybody have any resources for that they want to share or comments on how they feel about doing an art project? I know for some people, there's some pros and cons. Some people think that it's, just busy work and they're not really enjoying it. And then other people are turning into these fabulous artists that never knew they could paint, and then have explored that world. Jennifer, how about you? What have you heard out there about the arts?
Well, art is very good for some people. I know people have found gifts of art, painting, which they didn't know they had. I know that is true. But other people just like mucking around with paints. In my groups, we do a lot of water painting, which is great fun. There are pictures which you can just splash water on and they come up with pictures underneath. But there are others where you have to be really, really careful and just with water and these beautiful colors and patterns. It's just amazing and people love it. I remember the first time I did it, people thought, but in the end, everybody was enjoying it. It was amazing. This ability to produce color and joy and unexpected things, which doesn't necessarily involve tremendous art ability, because a lot of us don't have that.
One of the that I think was really good that you mentioned was that, it doesn't have to necessarily be a project and a productive thing. It can be a whole sensory thing. Now, Maria, I want to pull you in on this because you kind of started a whole new world for yourself. It sounds like making jewelry.
Yes. Beginning of the year, I started teaching myself making jewelry, wire jewelry on YouTube. And I have terrible hand tremors. I was at some stage, I couldn't feed myself or drink myself. And they had to feed me and help me to drink coffee and stuff. And when I started working with this wire and the pliers, the fine motor muscles started steadying, and it helped me a lot. And the creative process helped me started thinking better again and remembering better again, because every time I get a setback with the jewelry and the making, sometimes I get so confused and stuff, and I will just keep on and sitting and making chains, which is very boring for other people, but it keeps my hands busy. And it really makes a difference, and I make the most beautiful thing. And because somebody said to me in the beginning, I must find a purpose, because I couldn't see a purpose for myself anymore. Everything was black. I could see no future for myself anymore. And all was black and desperate. And when I started making the beautiful jewelry and everybody commented on it and people started buying it, it made me so happy. It is still making me so happy. It just really, it changed my life. And
it is beautiful. People can see your jewelry on Facebook because you post it there. If you want to give yourself a plug, how they can find you on Facebook if they're interested in jewelry.
oh,
So
I don't know how.
Well, so if you just say your full name.
It's Elmarie Janse van Rensburg. Hang on.
That helps us not at all.
Spell it out.
I don't think that's going to work. Let me try and do this. I used to be fantastic with computers and cell phones and stuff, and now I just can't do it. Just hang on. Maybe I just might be able to do that thing somewhere over the rainbow.
The way she spells her name is Elmarie, that you see, Elmarie, and then Janse. That's JANS, and then Van, VAN, and then Rensburg, RENSBURG. That's RENSBURG.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment real quick on Elmarie. It was like night and day, if you don't mind me saying, Elmarie, before you started making your jewelry. You know, life was pretty bleak. And what I love most about every time, and she just keeps spitting this jewelry out, and it's just all individual, creative, unique. But in her comments, she goes, I really love this piece. To have the confidence, you know what I mean? I mean, it just makes it even more special. So I love you, Elmarie. Great job.
Love you all too.
Oh, good. Anybody else doing anything with art other than music, with drawing or painting or clay or collages or dance? I mean, there's lots of different things out there. I will mention one thing on dance that friends of mine's parents did. One was blind and one had dementia. And every morning and every night, as soon as they got out of bed, they would dance. And, you know, one of the things that I think is special about that is as we age too, we typically don't touch as much. And so they had that physical connection, but also had that joy kind of combination with the music, and got a little bit of physical exercise as well with that. And I thought that was a beautiful way to start and end a day, you know, for the two of them, and just connect them. So sometimes simple little things, you know, if you and your loved one used to dance, you know, maybe you still can. My mom over time, you know, she loved to dance, but that she was wheelchair bound, or, prior to that, she wasn't as steady on her feet. So we just had to adapt how to do that. So if it was dancing slower with her and just holding her tighter, maybe initially if she wasn't steady on her feet, to the point, well, that didn't work, and that got maybe a little clumsy, and you both didn't want to fall, to being able to dance with her in her wheelchair, dance with her just sitting, and then we kind of do the arm dance, and then at the end we got down to just doing a finger dance. And it was, again, that physical connection that we had, and we both would just smile and laugh and giggle the whole time. There was just this peacefulness and this intrinsic connection that was so deep over something so silly, from somebody outside looking in, but it had so much value to us and was just such a deep, deep connection. So I think sometimes we have to look at things a little bit differently too, and not give up, because there are many levels of adaptation that we can do with things. I know, and this is kind of going back to the music again, I'm not a singer. I love to sing, but you don't want to hear me. I'm one of those. But my mom taught me that it was okay. It wasn't about the sound. Now, my dad probably would have argued with that. but my mom, as her dementia progressed, it was about the participation, and it was about the joy. And so she kind of got me over that hump. Not that I would sing on Zoom to the public. I'm still very self-conscious with all of that. But with her, I felt very free to be able to do that. And that was such a gift she gave me too, to be able to feel that freedom and not feel embarrassed. Well, I think this has been really informative, and I appreciate all the links. Again, thank you. Thank you for giving us all hope. Oh, Elle-Marie, go ahead.
Just one thing. Jennifer once said, if somebody will just keep on reminding them until they remember somebody or something. And by talking about this, I started remembering music I used to like and really love. Jennifer, that absolutely make a difference. Just nudging me.
Good. I'm so pleased, Ella-Marie.
Thank you so much.
So, yeah, wonderful conversation today. So thank you so much, ladies. Appreciate your time. Very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori.
Very
Great
much.
to see everyone. Jennifer, Elle-Marie, Anne. Y'all take care.
Thank you very much.
Bye.